grave. Under neon lights we take a stand. Knights and wizards across the land.
Good morning and welcome. Tabletop role-playing game news for the week. Time to open up our chats, take out our sextant, and take a look at the stories that are going to be crashing their waves against the beach of stability this week. And the number one story comes to us from our good friend Eric Tanker, that was told to him by Luke Gygax. I found about this from another one of my followers, but apparently Luke Gygax posted this morning that the Grand Geneva Resort and Spa, which I guess is possibly going to be the location of Gary Con or something like that, has had a huge data breach, and whoever adapted the breach is now sending out phishing scams to people who have registered. So if you've ever stayed at the Grand Geneva in the past, or were planning on staying at the Grand Geneva in the future for GaryCon or any other reason, you should be doubly check your credit cards if you ever use them. And if you receive an email from the Grand Geneva, I think we even have a picture of it. Yes, we do. Do not respond to it. This is a phishing attempt. This is not how they will contact you if there was some problem. So if you see something like this from the Grand Geneva, well, any emails from the Grand Geneva that don't directly result in responding to the phishing attempt, do not respond to them. So that sucks. That sucks for the hotel. That sucks for previous con goers. That sucks for potential con goers, and that sucks for future con goers. Hopefully they will find the culprits, but a quick search on the YouTube internet thingy for the Grand Geneva Resort and Spa shows that this isn't the first time it's happened. Here's one from July of 17 from TripAdvisor saying that the hotel was disappointing and not safe, and they had problems with their cards. Here's one from 2017 where set on TripAdvisor, where they're saying that the credit cards were stolen, and there was attempted to be data breaches and uses of those credit cards from the hotel. Definitely not a. Looks like this is. I'm just looking at the Yelps. I'm looking at the responses. I'm looking at the ratings. So it sucks, but on the other hand, it looks like it's happened there before. So normally this is where the sarcastic part of me would say a little due diligence ahead of time, but we don't know the full story, and maybe they have made attempts to fix the mistakes of the past. So we're going to give Lake Geneva Resorts the benefit of the doubt, especially if Luke Gygax says they're on the up and up. We generally trust what comes out of Luke Gygax's mouth, right? But again, circling back to the original part of the story, if you have used your credit card there in the past, currently are credit carding there because of Gary Con, or are planning on using the hotel in the future, I would double check to make sure your credit cards are safe through any one of the 3 free credit card monitoring services or through your bank. And if you receive any emails from said resort, don't open them, don't respond to them. Moving on to slightly happier news regarding the tabletop role-playing game community this week that doesn't involve crime. It's a big week for Starfinder. We have the first look at the Starfinder 2nd edition cover art. And it's now obviously there'll be some writing down here probably, but for the most part this is it. So we've got these 3 cat person glowing fist monk, maybe whatever this is, and some young lady with a gun and one arm and a digital sword and shield floating over her head, and then this guy's got a digital head and whatever this thing is floating over him. I guess that's how magic works now in Starfinder. And then we have this weird dragony alien Lovecraftian thing with a laser beam coming out of this central thing eye. Guy, little Geiger-esque going on. Very frightening, very interesting, very different. I guess we're trying to sort of impact that even though this is still fantasy Saturday morning space, Starfinder 2 might be a little bit more scary than Starfinder 1. They're also letting us know that Starfinder 2 will be much more closely connected to the current run of Pathfinder, Pathfinder 2 Electric Boogaloo Core, Pathfinder Core, will be using the same rules as Starfinder. Again, Starfinder 1 was perfect. I don't see any reason to change it, but I understand mostly Piazzo's reasoning over why they're making the changes, because they want to scrub any connection between their stuff and the OGL scandal of 2023. Not that they had to, but they want to be sure that they don't get any more possible legal shenanigans from the monolithic forces of Wizards of the Coast. Considering all the legal problems Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro are in right now, I really don't think you need to worry about them. But you never know, because they do some weird stuff over at Hasbro Wizards of the Coast. So, yeah, better safe than sorry. So, yes, that's why we're getting Starfinder 2. That's why we're getting the new Pathfinder 2 Electric Boogaloo Core. And the rules for this will be more in tune with that. But the Pathfinder announcements doesn't stop there. Oh, no. We've got a new monster book coming out from Pathfinder. This one's called New Lost Omens Book plus Remastered Versions of Treasure Vault. Version of Treasure Vault? Was there more than one? So we've got 2 new Pathfinder books set to release later this year. We've got the Pathfinder Lost Omens Shining Kingdoms and Pathfinder Treasure Vaults Remastered. The first is a lore book focused on the Shining Kingdom, a collection of 6 key nations of the Inner Sea. Ooh, islands. We know I love islands. Lost Omens, I think, is the story arc that they're calling every adventure that came out with Pathfinder 2 2nd Edition, right? Am I wrong? Am I right? I don't know. And then they're going to be using the upcoming Immortals War to, I believe, explain the transition from Pathfinder 1 to Pathfinder 2, and then the transition from Pathfinder 2 to Pathfinder 2 Electric Boogaloo Core. And then the Treasure Vault Remastered is just updates to the original Treasure Vaults. It's like exactly the same as the original Treasure Vault books. It contains a bunch of items, weapons, magic items, stuff like that treasure. So they've basically tweaked it so it's a overpriced errata. $70 will get you errata. The Shining Kingdoms is $60 for adding new worlds to Lost Omens. I don't know enough to say yay or nay on the Lost Omens Shining Kingdom. But the Treasure Vault seems like, well, if all you did was just scrub the OGL and twerk the rules, it feels unnecessary. If you already had the Treasure Vault, it doesn't really feel like there's any need to buy the new one, especially for $70. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. In other Tabletop role-playing news, we have the new version of Ultraviolet Grasslands out from the wonderful brain of Luca Rijek. Ultraviolet Grasslands, a very extremely awesome, slightly bizarre hex crawl where you get like psychic coffee drinking cats and weird flying insects, very Mobius, Jerry Cornelius in the Airtight Garage, heavy metal type stuff. Yeah. So if you're just looking for an amazing hex crawl with really like sort of acid punk late 70s mentality to it, this is the one to go. Very, very heavy metal type, very, Jerry Cornelius in the Airtight Garage, for anybody who remembers Jerry Cornelius in the Airtight Garage. There's an obscure reference. Chris Dunworthy has interviews Fennis77 about his Vac Suit and Duct Tape role-playing game. Vac Suit and Duct Tape seems to be another sci-fi horror space wants to kill you type role-playing game. Following on the mothership and the idea that, even without the aliens, space is scary. Space is trying to kill you. There is nothing friendly or pleasant about outer space. It wants to kill you. We've got this story about the language issues with people who are writing modern fantasy and just sort of taking new words from Wales and Gaelic and Celtic without really knowing what the words means, just because they sound cool. And people of Welsh and Gaelic descent going, stop using our words unless you actually use the words correctly. Some people have mislabeled this as another woke, don't use our culture, don't buy my stuff type of thing. But that's actually, if you read the article, what the people are saying is like, I think it's really cool that you use our words. I understand why people use our words. Our words sound very mystical and spooky, but it does sort of give the wrong image, especially if you don't use the words and the language and the names correctly. If you're gonna take words and names and imagery from Celtic, Welsh, British Isles, European medieval, and use it for your fantasy, at least make sure the words and the names are correct. This is specifically directed for the BookTok movement. I don't know if you're familiar with BookTok. It's a new thing. This is actually the first time I've heard the word. It has something to do with people who post reviews of books on, Instagram and stuff like that. And then bookstores build little displays of all those books, and a lot of the books are cheap, quite possibly, AI assisted bodice ripper, low quality fantasies. And a lot of them pick and choose words from across the world without researching what the words mean, researching where the words came from, or even pronouncing the words or spelling out the words correctly. So I could understand that, people are from Wales and Ireland and Scotland and Europe and that part of the world are like, you're stealing from our culture and our history, which is, okay, because it brings attention to our culture and history, and that's cool. But again, if you're going to take stuff from our culture, our history, our language, our words, our names, spend the 5 extra minutes researching it, spend the 2 extra minutes to figure out how to pronounce it. So that's the thing. And I'm sure that'll continue to peter around the fantasy role-playing writing world, especially now more and more chat AI assisted BookTok cheap fantasies are coming out. Megalith and the Tales of the Myrklean Dragon. Yeah, I'm just going to pick some words that sound vaguely Gaelic because they sound mystical and medieval and vaguely Tolkien. And that appears to be it for the tabletop role-playing game news this week. Surprisingly, nothing from Wizards of the Coast yet. But the week is still early, and we're still reeling from the announcement of the D&D pinball and the D&D slot machine. Because that slot machine is not going to blow up in your face. No, absolutely not. No, I can't see anything going wrong, especially if you do something clever, like attach the D&D online gambling to D&D Beyond. Oh, yeah, nothing is going to go wrong. So that's it for the news. If you've got a story you want me to cover, let me know. Hopefully we'll have more news on the phishing scam Lake Geneva thing in the future. Until then, just be careful, Unfortunately, whenever you put your credit card or any information out there now, you're risking this happening. It sucks. I guess we're all just going to go back to paying in cash soon. All right, that's it for today. Have a great day. Don't forget, I'm doing an interview at 10 a.m. with a guy who claims he's a Minotaur. That should be interesting. I'm totally making that up. See ya.
Roll the dice and ride the wave. Quest and dragons, the news we crave. Under neon lights we take a stand. knights and wizards across the land.